The summons. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the UES horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space exploration vessel. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling nebula that dominated the view screen. After 6 months of uneventful travel, they had finally reached the edge of charted space. "Status report, Mr. Chen," Elena called out, her voice steady despite the excitement coursing through her veins. Lieutenant Chen, the ship's science officer, looked up from his console. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're picking up some unusual energy readings from within the nebula. Nothing we've ever encountered before." Elena nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Isn't that why we're out here, Lieutenant? To encounter the unknown." As if on cue, the ship's AI chimed in. "Captain, I've detected an anomaly at the heart of the nebula. It appears to be artificial." The bridge fell silent. Humanity had yet to encounter any sign of alien civilization in their explorations. If this was truly an artificial construct, it would change everything. "Take us in closer, Ensign Park. Nice and easy," Elena ordered, her heart racing. As the horizon glided into the nebula, tendrils of cosmic gas parted before them, revealing a sight that took their breath away. Suspended in space was a massive, pulsating artifact. Its surface shimmered with an otherworldly iridescence, patterns of light dancing across its surface in hypnotic waves. "My God," whispered Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's xenobiologist. "It's beautiful." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Mr. Chen, full sensor sweep. Dr. Tanaka, I want your initial analysis. And someone get me a secure line to Earth Command. They're going to want to know about this." As the crew sprang into action, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. Little did she know just how right she was. Hours passed as the horizon circled the artifact, gathering data and transmitting their findings back to Earth. The excitement on board was palpable. Every new scan, every bit of data added to the growing certainty that they had stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. It was Dr. Tanaka who first noticed the change. "Captain, the energy output from the artifact, it's increasing exponentially." Before Elena could respond, the artifact pulsed with blinding intensity. A wave of energy washed over the horizon, sending systems haywire and knocking crew members off their feet. "Report," Elena shouted, pulling herself up from the floor. "Multiple systems offline," Chen called out, his fingers flying over his console. "Shields at 20%, propulsion down, long-range communications gone." Elena's mind raced. They were stranded, cut off from Earth, and face-to-face with an alien device of unknown power and purpose. "Emergency protocols. People, get those systems back online. Priority to shields and comms." As the crew worked feverishly to repair the ship, none of them noticed the artifact's surface rippling like water. A beam of light shot out, enveloping the horizon in a soft, golden glow. "Captain," the ship's AI intoned, its voice uncharacteristically hesitant. "We're receiving a transmission from the artifact." Elena's eyes widened. On screen. The view screen flickered to life, but instead of an alien face or indecipherable symbols, they saw only a swirling vortex of colors and light. And then they heard it. A voice, not in their ears, but in their minds. "The seal is broken. The sleeper stirs. You have doomed us all." As quickly as it began, the transmission cut off. The artifact's glow faded, and it hung in space, inert and silent once more. Did everyone else hear that?" Ensign Park asked, his voice shaking. Before anyone could respond, the ship's emergency sirens blared to life. "Multiple contacts incoming," Chen shouted. They're coming out of FTL all around us." The view screen lit up with dozens, then hundreds of ships materializing out of the void. Ships of all shapes and sizes, some organic-looking, others gleaming metal, but all unmistakably alien. "Open a channel," Alina ordered, trying to keep the tremor out of her voice. "To all vessels, this is Captain Alina Rodriguez of the Earth ship Horizon. We come in peace and—" She was cut off by a cacophony of alien voices, all shouting over each other in 1,000 different languages. The ship's AI struggled to translate, but fragments came through. "Violated our most sacred laws. Awakened the great devourer. Destruction of all life in the galaxy." Alina's blood ran cold as she realized the gravity of the situation. Whatever they had done, whatever they had awakened, it had drawn the attention of what could only be the Galactic Council, and they were not happy. A new voice cut through the chaos, louder and clearer than the rest. "Silence," it boomed, and immediately all other chatter ceased. The view screen changed, showing a being unlike anything Alina had ever seen or imagined. It appeared to be made of pure energy, its form constantly shifting and changing. "Humans," it spoke, its voice resonating through the ship. "You stand accused of crimes against the galaxy. Your ignorance is no excuse. You will answer for what you have done." Alina stepped forward, her chin held high. "We meant no harm. We're explorers, seeking knowledge and peaceful contact with other civilizations. If we violated any laws, it was unintentional. We're willing to make amends." The being's form pulsed with what might have been anger, or perhaps amusement. "Amends. You think you can undo the awakening of a cosmic horror with mere amends? No, humans. You will face the judgment of the Galactic Council. A delegation of your people will be summoned to stand trial." Trial. Alina's mind reeled. For what exactly? And what delegation? "For the potential extinction of all life in the galaxy," the being replied coldly. "As for your delegation, choose wisely, Captain Rodriguez. The fate of your entire species may rest on their shoulders." With that, the transmission cut off, leaving the bridge of the Horizon in stunned silence. Alina took a deep breath, steadying herself. She turned to her crew, seeing the fear and uncertainty in their eyes. But beneath that, she saw something else. Determination, courage. The very qualities that had driven humanity to the stars. "Mr. Chen, as soon as communications are back online, send a full report to Earth Command. Dr. Tanaka, I want everything we have on that artifact. Ensign Park, plot us a course back to Earth, maximum speed." She paused, looking each of them in the eye. "I know we're all scared. I know this is bigger than anything we've ever faced, but we are not alone out here anymore, and we will not go quietly into the night. Whatever this trial is, whatever cosmic horror we've supposedly awakened, we will face it. Together." As the crew sprang into action with renewed purpose, Alina turned back to the view screen. The artifact hung there, silent and inscrutable, while the alien fleet surrounded them like a swarm of angry hornets. She clenched her fists, a fire burning in her eyes. Humanity had reached for the stars, and now the stars had reached back. Whatever came next, Alina knew one thing for certain. The universe would never be the same again. The accusation. The gleaming spires of New Geneva stretched toward the sky, a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. But today, the city buzzed with an undercurrent of tension. News of the Horizon's discovery and the subsequent summons from the Galactic Council had spread like wildfire. In a secure conference room deep within the United Earth Government headquarters, Captain Alina Rodriguez stood before a panel of Earth's most influential leaders. Her uniform was crisp, her posture rigid, but her eyes betrayed the weight of the responsibility she carried. "And you're certain, Captain, that this artifact posed no immediate threat?" asked President Adama, her weathered face etched with concern. Alina nodded firmly. "Yes, Madam President. It appeared dormant until we approached. We had no way of knowing it would activate, let alone awaken something." Defense Minister Cheng leaned forward, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on Alina. Yet now we face accusations from this Galactic Council of nearly destroying the galaxy. Convenient, isn't it? Perhaps this is merely a ploy to subjugate humanity. With all due respect, Minister, Elena countered, the level of technology displayed by the Council fleet far surpasses our own. If subjugation was their goal, they could have simply taken us by force. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was Ambassador Nkosi who finally spoke, her voice calm but resolute. Then we must prepare a delegation, as requested. We cannot run from this. Humanity must stand tall and face whatever accusations are leveled against us. President Adama nodded slowly. Agreed. Captain Rodriguez, given your first-hand experience with both the artifact and the initial council contact, you will lead the delegation. She turned to the others. We need our best and brightest. Scientists, diplomats, military strategists. We're stepping onto a galactic stage, and we must put our best foot forward. As the meeting adjourned and preparations began in earnest, Elena felt a mix of pride and trepidation. They were about to face judgment from civilizations potentially millions of years more advanced than their own. The fate of humanity would rest on their shoulders. The human delegation's ship dropped out of FTL on the edge of a star system, unlike any they had ever seen. A massive ring world encircled the central star, its inner surface gleaming with the lights of a civilization that spanned millions of square kilometers. My God, breathed Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her eyes wide with wonder. The energy requirements for something like this, it's beyond comprehension. Elena nodded, equally awestruck. And to think, this is just one system among many in Council space. Stay sharp, everyone. We're here to face accusations, not sightsee. As their ship approached the ring world, a shimmering energy field enveloped them, guiding them to a docking port that seemed to materialize out of the structure's surface. With a soft shudder, they were brought to rest inside a cavernous hangar. The delegation stepped out into an environment that challenged their very perception of reality. The laws of physics seemed to bend and twist around them. Gravity shifted subtly as they walked, and colors they had no names for danced at the edges of their vision. They were met by a being that appeared to be composed of pure light, its form constantly shifting and flowing. When it spoke, it was directly into their minds. Welcome, humans, to the heart of the Galactic Council. I am 66, your guide. The Council awaits. Follow. As they traversed the impossible geometries of the Council headquarters, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were ants stepping into a realm of giants. The sheer scale of what they were witnessing was overwhelming. Finally, they entered the Council chambers proper. The room, if it could be called that, seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and forms occupied tiered levels that stretched as far as the eye could see, and perhaps beyond. At the center of it all was a dais, upon which sat 5 entities that radiated power and authority. The Galactic Council in all its terrible majesty. One of the beings, a crystalline structure that pulsed with internal light, spoke first. Its thoughts resonated not just in their minds, but in the very fabric of space around them. Humans of Earth, you stand accused of violating the most ancient and sacred laws of our galactic community, of awakening a threat that could spell doom for all sentient life. How do you plead? Elena stepped forward, her voice steady despite the oppressive weight of countless alien gazes upon her. Esteemed Council, we plead ignorance. We are a young species, new to the galactic stage. We had no knowledge of your laws or the true nature of what we encountered. Our actions, while regrettable, were not malicious. A ripple of what might have been laughter, or perhaps disgust, echoed through the chamber. Another council member, this one a swirling vortex of dark energy, addressed them. Ignorance. You meddle with forces beyond your comprehension, and you plead ignorance. Your kind has ever been thus, reckless, arrogant, destructive. Before Elena could respond, holographic displays sprang to life around them. They showed scenes of humanity's history, wars, environmental destruction, acts of cruelty and violence. This is your nature, the vortex continued. And now you have brought that nature to the stars. The artifact you activated was a seal, containing an entity of unimaginable power and malevolence, the Great Devourer, a cosmic horror that nearly ended all life in the galaxy eons ago. And you have set it free. The human delegation watched in horror as the displays showed a massive, writhing form of darkness emerging from the artifact. Stars winked out in its wake, entire systems consumed. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. But surely, if this entity is so powerful, it would have fully awakened by now. The artifact seemed dormant when we left it. A third council member, a being of pure energy similar to their guide, answered. Your interference has begun a process that cannot be easily stopped. The devourer stirs in its slumber, growing stronger with each passing moment. It is only a matter of time before it fully awakens. Alina's mind raced. This was far worse than they had imagined. Esteemed council, if what you say is true, then surely our priority should be finding a way to stop this threat. We may have acted in ignorance, but we are willing to do whatever it takes to make this right. The crystalline being seemed to consider this. Your words are noble, human, but words alone are not enough. If you truly wish to atone for your actions, you must face the trial of endings. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. Even Zixix, their guide, seemed to flicker with surprise. The trial of endings? Alina asked, a sense of foreboding settling in her gut. What is that? The vortex of dark energy swirled ominously. It is a challenge of the highest order, a test of a species' worth, their right to exist in this galaxy. No race has ever survived it. And if we refuse? Ambassador Nkosi asked, her diplomatic training kicking in. Then you forfeit not only your own lives, but the lives of every human in the galaxy, the energy being stated coldly. The Council will have no choice but to eradicate your species entirely, in the hopes that doing so will delay the Devourer's awakening. Elena looked back at her fellow humans, seeing the fear in their eyes, but also the determination. They had come too far, achieved too much, to simply lie down and accept extinction. She turned back to the Council, standing tall. We accept your trial, she declared, her voice ringing out clear and strong. Humanity will prove its worth, not just to survive, but to stand alongside you in facing this threat. The council members regarded her silently for a moment. Then, the crystalline being spoke once more. So be it. Prepare yourselves, humans. The trial of endings begins now. As the words echoed through the chamber, Alina felt a shift in the air around them. The impossible geometries of the council headquarters began to blur and fade. The last thing she saw before her vision went dark was the faces of her fellow humans, a mix of terror and resolve etched upon them. Whatever came next, humanity would face it together. The galaxy was watching, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The trial that would determine the fate of their entire species had begun. The trial begins. The darkness receded like a curtain being drawn back, revealing a landscape that defied comprehension. Captain Alina Rodriguez blinked, her mind struggling to process what her eyes were seeing. The human delegation stood on what appeared to be a vast, undulating plain, but the ground beneath their feet pulsed with veins of bioluminescent energy. The sky above was a kaleidoscope of swirling colors, occasionally punctuated by what looked like tears in the fabric of reality itself. Is everyone all right? Alina called out, her voice sounding strangely muffled in the alien atmosphere. Dr. Yuki Tanaka was the first to respond, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial shock. Fascinating. The atmospheric composition seems to be constantly shifting, yet remaining breathable. And look at the ground. It appears to be some sort of living, responsive biomass. Ambassador Nkosi, ever the diplomat, was more concerned with their situation. Captain, where exactly are we? And where are our hosts? As if in answer to her question, a shimmering portal opened in the air before them. The crystalline being from the council emerged, its facets refracting the strange light around them. "Welcome, humans, to the crucible of endings," its thoughts resonated in their minds. "This realm exists outside of normal spacetime. It will be the stage for your trial." Elena stepped forward, her posture rigid with determination. "We're ready. What must we do?" The crystalline being seemed to pulse with what might have been amusement. "Do. You must survive, of course. The crucible will test you in ways you cannot imagine. Physical prowess, mental acuity, moral fiber, all will be pushed to their limits and beyond." Before anyone could respond, the ground beneath them trembled. The bioluminescent veins pulsed rapidly, and suddenly, the plain was no longer flat. Mountains thrust up from the earth, canyons yawned open, and forests sprouted in the blink of an eye. "The first trial begins," the council member announced. "Navigate the labyrinth of shifting realities. Reach the beacon at its heart. But be warned, nothing here is as it seems." With that, the crystalline being vanished, leaving the humans alone in the rapidly transforming landscape. Elena quickly took charge. "All right, people, let's move. Stay together. Watch each other's backs. Dr. Tanaka, any readings we should be aware of?" Yuki consulted the advanced scanner she'd managed to bring with them. "Energy readings are off the charts, Captain. And there's something else. It's almost as if the very laws of physics are in flux here." As if to prove her point, a nearby tree suddenly uprooted itself, its branches elongating and twisting to form a barrier across their path. In the distance, a mountain folded in on itself like origami, revealing a yawning chasm beyond. "Well," muttered Defense Minister Cheng, his cybernetic eye whirring as it tried to make sense of the impossible landscape, "I think it's safe to say we're not in Kansas anymore." The team pressed forward, each step bringing new challenges. Gravity shifted unpredictably. One moment they were leaping across chasms with ease, the next struggling to lift their feet from the ground. The very air seemed to play tricks on them, sometimes becoming as thick as water, other times so thin they gasped for breath. But it was the mental toll that proved most challenging. As they delved deeper into the labyrinth, each member of the delegation began to experience vivid hallucinations. They saw loved ones in peril, relived their worst memories, faced their deepest fears. Ambassador Nkosi stumbled, her eyes wide with terror. No, I can't go back there. I can't." Elena grabbed her arm, steadying her. "Ambassador, it's not real. Whatever you're seeing, it's the labyrinth playing tricks on us. Focus on my voice. We need you." Nkosi blinked, her gaze clearing. Thank you, Captain." For a moment, I was back in the Lagos siege. The screams, the chaos. "We've all got our demons," Elena replied grimly. "But we can't let them control us. Not here. Not now." As they pushed on, the team began to notice something strange. The hallucinations, the shifting terrain, the physical challenges, they were all uniquely tailored to each individual's strengths and weaknesses. Dr. Tanaka's analytical mind was put to the test with reality-bending puzzles that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Minister Cheng found his combat skills and strategic thinking pushed to their limits in ever-evolving tactical scenarios. Ambassador Nkosi faced diplomatic challenges that required her to negotiate with entities that existed beyond human comprehension. And Elena faced the weight of leadership in its purest form. Every decision she made seemed to have immediate, often devastating consequences. Choose the left path, and a chasm would open beneath Tanaka's feet. Go right, and Cheng would be ensnared by living vines. Each step forward required a sacrifice, a choice that tested her resolve and her humanity. Hours passed, or perhaps days. Time had no meaning in this place. The team was battered, exhausted, pushed to the very limits of human endurance. But they persevered. Where one faltered, the others rallied. They shared strength, knowledge, and determination. Finally, After what felt like an eternity of struggle, they crested a hill and saw it, the beacon. It pulsed with a pure white light that seemed to cut through the chaos of the labyrinth. "There," Elena shouted, her voice hoarse with exhaustion. "We're almost there." But the labyrinth had one final test for them. As they approached the beacon, the ground between them and their goal began to crumble away, revealing a churning void of nothingness below. "No," Cheng growled, his cybernetic fists clenching in frustration. "We've come too far to fail now." Elena surveyed the situation, her mind racing. The gap was too wide to jump, the void too dangerous to try and navigate around. They were so close, yet impossibly far. And then she had an idea. A crazy, potentially suicidal idea, but an idea nonetheless. "Everyone, link hands," she commanded. "Dr. Tanaka, you're the lightest. You'll go first. Minister Cheng, you're our anchor. Ambassador Nkosi and I will form the chain." "Captain," Tanaka said, realization dawning in her eyes, "you can't mean to." "It's the only way," Elena cut her off. "We do this together, or not at all." Understanding rippled through the group. They knew what Elena was proposing. A human chain, swinging out over the void. One misstep, one weak link, and they would all fall into oblivion. But they also knew she was right. It was their only chance. They linked hands, Cheng bracing himself at the edge of the abyss. With a nod from Elena, they began to swing. Once, twice, building momentum. On the third swing, Elena shouted, "Now!" Tanaka let go, flying through the air toward the beacon. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed she wouldn't make it, but her fingers grasped the edge of the platform, and she pulled herself up. One by one, they repeated the process. Nkosi went next, then Elena. Finally, only Cheng remained. "Minister," Elena called out, "you have to let go. Trust us." Cheng looked at the void below, then at his team on the other side. In that moment, he made a decision that went against every tactical analysis. His cybernetic systems were screaming at him. He let go. For a terrible second, he hung in the air, suspended between certain doom and potential salvation. Then 3 pairs of hands grabbed him, hauling him onto the platform. They had done it. Against all odds, they had reached the beacon. As they stood there, panting and exhausted but triumphant, the beacon's light enveloped them. The chaos of the labyrinth faded away, replaced by the familiar surroundings of the council chamber. The crystalline being materialized before them, its facets shimmering with what might have been surprise or approval. "Impossible," it communicated. "No species has ever completed the labyrinth of shifting realities. Yet you humans, in your brief existence, have achieved what civilizations millions of years your senior could not." Elena straightened, standing tall despite her exhaustion. "We did it together. As a team. As humanity." The being seemed to consider this. Perhaps we have underestimated your kind. But do not celebrate yet, humans. This was but the first of many trials. Rest now, for the true challenges are yet to come." As the being vanished, and the human delegation was led away to recover, Elena couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. They had passed the impossible test. They had survived the unsurvivable. Whatever came next, humanity would face it head-on. The galaxy was watching, and Earth's champions were ready to defy death itself to prove their worth. The hidden truth. The recovery chamber was a stark contrast to the chaotic crucible they had just escaped. Soft, ambient light pulsed in soothing patterns across the walls, and the air was filled with a sweet, rejuvenating mist. Captain Elena Rodriguez sat on the edge of her regeneration pod, her mind racing despite the calming atmosphere. "Something doesn't add up," she muttered, more to herself than to her recovering teammates. Dr. Yuki Tanaka looked up from the holographic display she'd been studying. "What do you mean, Captain?" Elena stood, pacing the room. "The trial, the crucible, This whole situation. Why go through all this trouble? If we're such a threat, why not just eliminate us? Minister Cheng's cybernetic eye whirred as he considered her words. Perhaps it's not about us at all. Maybe we're just pawns in some larger game. Ambassador Nkosi nodded slowly. I've had the same feeling. The Council's actions seem inconsistent. One moment they're accusing us of dooming the galaxy, the next they're giving us a chance to prove ourselves. Before anyone could respond, a shimmering portal appeared in the center of the room. The crystalline council member materialized, its facets refracting the light in hypnotic patterns. Your rest period is over, humans. It is time for your next trial. Elena stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. Before we continue, I have questions. Why are you really putting us through these trials? What's the true purpose behind all this? The crystalline being seemed to pause, its internal light fluctuating. For a moment, Elena thought it wouldn't answer. Then, to her surprise, it spoke. Perceptive, for such a young species. Very well. Follow me, and you shall have your answers. But be warned, the truth may be more than you are prepared to face. The portal expanded, enveloping the human delegation. When the light faded, they found themselves in a vast, circular chamber. The walls were lined with what appeared to be stasis pods, each containing a different alien species. Behold, the crystalline being's thoughts echoed in their minds. The true face of the Galactic Council. Dr. Tanaka gasped, her scientific mind quickly grasping the implication. These beings, they're in some sort of suspended animation. But why? The crystalline being's form seemed to ripple with what might have been sorrow. Long ago, our civilizations faced a threat beyond imagination. The entity you unknowingly awakened, we called it the Nihil. It did not merely consume life, it unraveled the very fabric of reality. Holographic displays sprang to life around them, showing scenes of cosmic destruction. Entire galaxies winked out of existence, replaced by encroaching void. We fought, but to no avail. The Nihil was entropy incarnate, the end of all things given form. In our desperation, we devised a plan. We would place our greatest minds, our strongest warriors, our wisest leaders in stasis. A skeleton crew would remain awake, maintaining the facade of the Galactic Council, watching for the day the Nihil might return. Elena's mind reeled at the implications. So when we activated the artifact, you did not awaken the Nihil, as we led you to believe, the being confirmed, but you did alert us to its stirring. The seal is weakening. It is only a matter of time before it breaks free. Minister Cheng's cybernetic fists clenched. So all of this, the accusation, the trials, it was all a test. Yes and no, the being replied. We needed to know if your species had the potential to stand with us against the coming darkness. The trials were real, the dangers genuine, but they served a dual purpose. Ambassador Nkosi stepped forward, her diplomatic instincts kicking in. You're recruiting us. You need humanity's help to fight this. Nihil. The crystalline being's form pulsed with affirmation. Your kind possesses something we had long forgotten. Adaptability, creativity, a stubborn refusal to accept defeat. In the face of the impossible, you find a way forward. We believe these qualities may be key to defeating the Nihil once and for all. Elena absorbed this information, her mind racing with the implications. But why maintain the deception? Why not just ask for our help? Would you have believed us? The being countered. Would your people have united behind such an incomprehensible threat? Sometimes, fear is a necessary catalyst for greatness. As the human delegation grappled with this revelation, alarms suddenly blared throughout the chamber. The stasis pods lining the walls pulsed with urgent light. No, the crystalline being's thoughts were tinged with dread. It's too soon. The seal is breaking. The chamber shuddered, and cracks appeared in the very air around them. Through these fissures in reality, they caught glimpses of something vast and terrible, a writhing darkness that defied description, punctuated by flashes of unlight that hurt the mind to perceive. "What do we do?" Elena shouted over the cacophony of alarms and the groaning of reality itself. The crystalline being's form flickered erratically. "The stasis field is failing. We must awaken the council, but the process takes time. Time we do not have." Elena looked at her team, seeing the fear in their eyes, but also the determination. In that moment, she made a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. "We'll buy you that time," she declared. "Tell us what to do." The being seemed to regard her with a mixture of surprise and respect. The seal must be reinforced, but to do so would mean facing the Nihil directly. The psychic backlash alone would destroy most minds. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Our minds are unexplored territory for you. We might just surprise you." Minister Cheng nodded, his cybernetic systems already adapting to the fluctuating reality around them. "Whatever weapons you have, we'll use them." Ambassador Nkosi squared her shoulders. "And if it comes to negotiation, well, that's what I do best." The crystalline being's form stabilized, as if drawing strength from their resolve. "Very well. Follow me, humans. We go to face the end of all things." As they raced through twisting corridors of impossible geometry, Elena's mind was awhirl with the magnitude of what they faced. They had come seeking justice for humanity, only to find themselves the potential saviors of all reality. They emerged onto a platform suspended in void. Before them loomed a massive, pulsating seal of energy. And beyond that, Elena's mind recoiled from what she saw. The Nihil was more than just a threat. It was the antithesis of existence itself. Looking at it was like trying to remember a dream while forgetting how to think. The crystalline being gestured towards a series of control pedestals. "Channel your will through these. Your combined consciousness will help reinforce the seal. But be warned, the Nihil will fight back. It will attack your very sense of self." As the human delegation took their positions, Elena felt a swell of pride. Here they were, representatives of a species the galaxy had dismissed as primitive, standing as the last line of defense against oblivion. "Whatever happens," she called out to her team, "remember who you are. Remember Earth. Remember humanity." They placed their hands on the pedestals, and the universe fell away. Elena found herself floating in a sea of nothingness. Fragments of memory and identity swirled around her, threatened to disperse into the encroaching void. The Nihil pressed against her consciousness, a vast, uncaring force that sought to unmake her very being. But she held firm. She clung to her memories. The feel of Earth's sun on her face, the sound of her mother's laughter, the taste of her first sip of coffee as a cadet. She was Elena Rodriguez, captain in the United Earth Fleet, and she would not be unmade. Around her, she sensed her teammates fighting their own battles. Tanaka wielded her intellect like a shield, analyzing and categorizing the unreality around her. Cheng's cybernetic systems created firewalls of pure will. Nkosi's diplomatic skills allowed her to navigate the chaotic mindscape, finding connections where none should exist. Slowly, impossibly, they began to push back. The seal stabilized, then strengthened. The Nihil's advance faltered, then retreated. In a flash of light and a rush of sensation, Elena found herself back on the platform. Her teammates stood around her, shaken but unbowed. The crystalline being regarded them with what could only be described as awe. "Impossible," it communicated. "You've done more than just reinforce the seal. You've pushed the Nihil back further than we've managed in eons." Before they could respond, more beings began to appear on the platform. The Galactic Council, awakened from their long slumber, gazed upon the humans with a mixture of confusion and respect. Elena straightened, standing tall despite her exhaustion. "Members of the Galactic Council," she addressed them, her voice ringing out clear and strong. "We come before you not as accused, but as allies. The true enemy is out there, and it will take all of us, working together, to defeat it." As the weight of her words settled over the assembly, Alina felt a glimmer of hope. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger. But humanity had proven its worth. They had stared into the abyss and held their ground. The galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity would be at the forefront of the battles to come. Humanity's triumph. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with an energy unlike anything seen in millennia. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions, some defying the very laws of physics as humans understood them, gathered in tiered rows that seemed to stretch into infinity. At the center of it all stood the human delegation, no longer accused criminals but potential saviors of reality itself. Captain Alina Rodriguez took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Beside her, Dr. Yuki Tanaka's eyes darted about, taking in the impossibly advanced technology surrounding them. Minister Cheng stood rigid, his cybernetic systems on high alert, while Ambassador Nkosi's face was a mask of calm diplomacy. The crystalline being that had guided them through their trials floated forward, its facets refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. When it spoke, its thoughts resonated through the minds of all present. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, we stand at a crossroads. The nihil stirs, threatening to unravel the very fabric of our reality. But hope has come from an unexpected source. All eyes turned to the humans. Alina felt the weight of countless alien gazes upon her, some curious, others skeptical, a few outright hostile. These humans, the crystalline being continued, have demonstrated qualities we had thought lost to the cosmos. In the face of impossible odds, they have shown adaptability, creativity, and an indomitable will to survive. We believe they may be key to our victory against the nihil. His susurration of thoughts rippled through the assembly. Alina could sense the disbelief, the reluctance to place their fate in the hands of such a young, unproven species. Seizing the moment, Ambassador Nkosi stepped forward. Her voice, though soft, carried to every corner of the vast chamber. Esteemed Council, we stand before you not as conquerors or saviors, but as allies. The threat we face knows no borders, no species lines. It is the enemy of all life, of existence itself. We humbly offer our assistance, our unique perspective, in the fight to come. Her words seemed to calm the assembly, but doubt still lingered. A being of pure energy, its form constantly shifting and roiling, addressed the humans directly. Pretty words, but what can your infantile species offer that our combined millennia of knowledge and technology cannot? Dr. Tanaka, unable to contain her scientific curiosity any longer, spoke up. With all due respect, it is precisely our infancy that gives us an advantage. We are not bound by eons of established thought. Our science, our very understanding of reality, is still evolving. This flexibility of mind might be exactly what's needed to combat a threat that defies conventional logic. Minister Cheng nodded, his cybernetic eye whirring as he surveyed the chamber. Moreover, our history is one of constant adaptation. We've faced extinction-level events, wars that nearly wiped us out, and environmental disasters of our own making. Each time, we've survived, learned, and grown stronger. A ripple of interest passed through the council. The crystalline being's thoughts carried a note of approval. Indeed, it was this capacity for growth that first caught our attention. But the nihil is unlike any threat you've faced. It is entropy incarnate, the end of all things given form. How would you propose to fight such an enemy? Alina stepped forward, her voice ringing out clear and strong. By doing what humanity does best, changing the rules of the game. She gestured to the holographic displays still showing the horrors of the nihil. You've been fighting this threat on its own terms, in the realm of pure energy and cosmic forces, but we've seen that the nihil can be affected by consciousness, by will. What if we approach this from a different angle? The chamber fell silent, all attention focused on Alina. Even the most skeptical council members leaned forward, intrigued. Dr. Tanaka, correct me if I'm wrong, but based on what we've seen, the nihil operates on principles similar to quantum mechanics, right? The observer effect, the collapse of probability waves. Tanaka's eyes widened as she grasped Elena's train of thought. Yes. In fact, when we reinforced the seal, our combined consciousness seemed to have a stabilizing effect on reality itself. Elena nodded, her excitement building. Exactly. So what if, instead of trying to fight the Nihil directly, we create a sort of consensual reality field? A combined consciousness of multiple species, all focused on maintaining the integrity of our universe. The energy being that had questioned them earlier flickered rapidly, its thoughts tinged with a mixture of surprise and grudging respect. An intriguing proposal, but the psychic strain of such an endeavor would be immense. It could destroy the minds of those participating. Not necessarily, Cheng interjected. My cybernetic systems were able to create firewalls against the Nihil's influence. We could develop similar technology on a larger scale, protecting the minds of those involved. Ambassador Nkosi stepped forward once more. And this is where our proposal for alliance comes in. We offer not just our ideas, but our willingness to stand on the front lines. Humanity will volunteer for this consciousness field, working alongside the bravest minds the Council has to offer. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of thoughts and voices. Some council members vehemently opposed putting the fate of reality in the hands of such a young species. Others saw the potential in this new approach. Debates raged, calculations were made, and simulations run. Through it all, the human delegation stood firm. They answered questions, clarified points, and demonstrated time and again the quick thinking and adaptability that had brought them this far. Finally, after what felt like hours of debate, the crystalline being raised its form, calling for silence. We have deliberated, and we have decided. The human proposal, while unorthodox, offers our best chance of victory against the Nihil. We will move forward with this plan. A cheer went up from some of the younger species in the council. The older, more conservative members gave the equivalent of reluctant nods. However, the being continued, this alliance must be one of equals. Humanity has proven its worth, not just in facing the trials we set before them, but in rising to a challenge that threatens all of existence. From this day forward, Earth will be granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Elena felt a swell of pride unlike anything she'd ever experienced. They had come here accused of dooming the galaxy, and now stood as full partners in its defense. The crystalline being turned to address the human delegation directly. You will return to Earth as heroes, tasked with preparing your people for the great work ahead. The road before us is long and fraught with danger, but together we may yet preserve the grand tapestry of existence. As the council session adjourned and preparations for the battle against the Nihil began in earnest, Elena gathered her team. Well, she said, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth, I'd say this first contact situation worked out pretty well, all things considered. Tanaka laughed, the sound bright in the midst of the serious atmosphere. Oh, is that what we're calling it? First contact with a side of averting cosmic horror. Chang allowed himself a rare grin. Just another day at the office for humanity, eh? Nkosi shook her head in amazement. When I took this job, I never imagined I'd be negotiating the fate of all reality. I don't think there's a diplomatic protocol for this situation. As they shared a moment of levity, Elena looked out at the bustling council chamber. Aliens of all descriptions rushed about, making preparations for the epic struggle to come. And there, in the midst of it all, stood 4 humans, representatives of a species that had, in the span of a few days, gone from accused criminals to the galaxy's last, best hope. You know, Elena said softly, they called us primitive. Said we were too young, too reckless to be trusted. But in the end, it was those very qualities that saved us all. Our adaptability, our creativity, our sheer stubborn refusal to give up. She turned to her team, her eyes shining with determination and pride. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Not just as humans, but as part of something greater. We've earned our place among the stars. Now let's show the universe what humanity can really do." As they nodded in agreement, a sense of purpose settled over them. The future was uncertain, filled with challenges beyond imagination. But humanity was ready. They had stared into the abyss, faced down cosmic horror, and emerged stronger for it. The galaxy would never be the same again. And humanity, in all its messy, chaotic, brilliant glory, would be at the forefront of the greatest adventure in the history of existence. The Galactic Council had indeed been shocked. Humans had defied death in an epic showdown. But this was just the beginning. The real triumph of humanity lay in the endless possibilities that now stretched out before them, a future limited only by the bounds of their imagination and their indomitable will to explore, to grow, and to thrive among the stars.